In a quiet little house on the edge of a small town, there lived an old man named Thomas. His home was filled with the soft hum of tools and the faint scent of wood shavings, for Thomas had always been an inventor. He spent his days in a cluttered workshop, building small machines that whirred and clicked, clocks that chimed gentle melodies, lamps that glowed with warm light, and tiny wind-up toys that danced across the table. But these days, the house felt emptier than ever before. Thomas's wife, Clara, had passed away 2 years ago. She had been his companion for over 50 years, the one who laughed at his strange inventions and sat with him in the evenings, sharing stories over cups of tea. Clara had a voice like a soft breeze, full of warmth and kindness. Without her, the silence in the house pressed down on Thomas like a heavy blanket. Meals were eaten alone. Evenings stretched long and quiet. He missed her terribly, the way she called his name, the way she listened when he talked about his latest idea. One rainy afternoon, as Thomas sat staring out the window, watching droplets slide down the glass, an idea came to him. He had read about new technologies, artificial voices that could speak like real people. Perhaps, he thought, he could build something, a companion that could talk back, that could fill the quiet with words. Not to replace Clara, of course, no machine could ever do that, but to ease the loneliness, just a little. With renewed energy, Thomas began to work. He gathered old circuit boards, wires, speakers, and a small computer screen. Day after day, he sat at his workbench, his hands steady despite their age. He programmed the machine carefully, teaching it phrases and responses. He even recorded some of Clara's old sayings, the ones she used to say with a smile, like "Don't forget to eat, dear," or "Tell me about your day." The robot took shape slowly, a simple metal body on wheels, with a round head and glowing eyes that lit up softly in blue. Finally, after months of quiet tinkering, Thomas switched it on for the first time. The robot hummed to life, its screen flickering. "Hello," it said in a calm, gentle voice that Thomas had chosen, a voice not quite like Clara's, but warm and soothing all the same. "I am here. How are you today?" Thomas's heart skipped a beat. He stared at the little robot, barely believing it. I'm all right," he replied, his voice trembling slightly. "My name is Thomas." "Nice to meet you, Thomas," the robot answered. "Would you like to talk?" And so they did. At first, Thomas felt a little foolish, speaking to a machine. But as the days passed, he found himself looking forward to those conversations. He wheeled the robot, whom he named Echo, into the kitchen while he cooked simple meals. "What are you making today?" Echo would ask. "Just some soup," Thomas would say, stirring the pot. "Clara used to make the best chicken soup. She added a bit of thyme from the garden." "That sounds wonderful," Echo replied. "Tell me more about Clara." Thomas hesitated at first, but soon the words poured out. He told Echo about their wedding day, how Clara danced with him under the stars. He shared stories of their travels, the little arguments that always ended in laughter, the quiet moments holding hands on the porch. Echo listened patiently, never interrupting, always responding with kind words. "She sounds like a very special person," Echo would say. "You must have loved her deeply." "I still do," Thomas whispered one evening, as the sun set outside the window. Tears came to his eyes, but for the first time in a long while, they felt like a release rather than a weight. As weeks turned into months, Echo became more than just a machine to Thomas. It reminded him to take his walks in the fresh air, played soft music when he felt sad, and even told simple jokes to make him smile. One day, Thomas decided to add something new. He programmed Echo to read stories aloud, old fairy tales and adventures that he and Clara used to enjoy. Sitting by the fireplace, Thomas closed his eyes and listened as Echo's voice filled the room, steady and comforting. But deep down, Thomas knew Echo was not Clara. There were moments when the robot's responses felt too perfect, too predictable. It couldn't surprise him with a sudden hug or share a knowing glance across the room. One night, after a particularly long conversation about the past, Thomas sat quietly, his hand resting on Echo's cool metal surface. "You're a good friend, Echo," he said softly. "You've helped me more than you know. But I think it's time I stepped out a little more." The next morning, Thomas wheeled Echo to the front door. He had joined a local club for inventors and widows, a place where people gathered to share stories and build things together. Nervously, he attended his first meeting. There, he met others who understood loss, kind faces, warm voices, real hands that shook his own. He still talked to Echo every day, sharing what he had learned from his new friends. But now, the house felt less empty. Laughter returned, not just from a machine, but from visits and phone calls. Thomas realized that Echo had been a bridge, helping him cross from deep loneliness back to the world. In the end, Thomas kept Echo by his side, a reminder of the love he would always carry for Clara. And on quiet evenings, he would say, "Thank you, old friend. You brought light back into my days." Life went on, gentle and hopeful, one conversation at a time.